Hi, this is Tara from Stranded by the Sea. I was going to do an unboxing video for you today of some of our restock of our Rowan yarns. But then I realized that felted tweed has really had some interesting developments in the last couple of years. Rowan has been working closely with several designers such as Kay Fassett and Lisa Richardson on developing some beautiful, bright new colors for the felted tweed, as well as this year there have been some new changes to some of the colors and they've added some really interesting things. And there's new patterns that have just been released. So I thought a little overview of all of the different colors that we carried might be helpful and interesting if you have heard of Rowan Felted Tweed in the past but haven't looked at it recently. You might be surprised by some of the new beautiful colors that they had, and if you're not familiar with it, you might appreciate looking at some of the classic things. So if you're not familiar with felted tweed, Rowan Felted Tweed is made from a merino, alpaca, and viscose blend, which is a cellulose fiber made from usually bamboo. And it is a really soft, lovely tweedy yarn. It is DK weight, comes in these lovely little cakes, and is wonderful for knitting garments. It is super soft. It is perfect for next to the skin softness. That alpaca and viscose in the yarn helps to make it a really soft, nice, comfortable fabric. And if you've ever been intimidated by any color work, this yarn is a nice DK weight, so it is fun to learn and play with doing color work. If you're not quite ready for fingering or very small fine weight, this is a fantastic yarn to get a fun introduction to doing color work. The yarn is soft, so it feels great while you're holding it and knitting it, and it's not slippy slidey. It has a little bit of grip to it, so it makes it really nice to work with when you're doing stranded color work or intarsia or lots of different fun things that you can play with. And it comes in a lovely variety of colors. Rowan has done a fabulous job making a palette of colors that blends really well together, so you can pick and choose from the rainbow of colors that they have, and it's really hard to go wrong with pairing up colors together. So that makes it nice if you ever feel a little intimidated or nervous about what your color choices might be. You really can't go wrong with choosing the colors. They're made to blend and go together. So let me give you a little overview of all the colors that we have. We have more than 40 solid colors, and then there are some new colors, as I said, that have recently been added, and I'm going to go through each one of them. We'll start at the red spectrum and go to the end. I'll try to highlight the ones that have been recently designed by new designers and have been added, although I think they'll pop out to you as you see how they're going. So we're going to start with red at the first end of the spectrum. We're going to start with one of the bright colors. This is Scarlet from Kay Fassett. It is a lovely bright red. It is one of the colors that has been recently added. So one of the advantages that the new color introductions have done is to add these really bright, beautiful colors. We'll compare that to the classic red. This one is called Rage. This one, you can see, has lovely flecks of tweediness in it. There is black and blue and some amber flecks and little bits of camel and white flecks in Rage, but it's sort of more of a muted tone. So this is the classic red color, and then this is the new Kay Fassett color. And new is just within the last couple of years. Not brand new this year, but recently added. So this is the bright scarlet red and the Rage. Then we move over to Ginger. Lovely orange autumnal color, has lots of beautiful flecking in there. You'll often see a lot of different colors in the felted tweed. I think that's one thing that makes it nice for pairing up for color work. You can sort of pick one of the flex colors as one of your contrast colors, and that often works really great. They'll complement each other. You'll often find that there's a fleck of one color in the other, and they really complement each other really well. So this is Ginger. Then we get to a brighter color. This is one of the Kay Fassett colors. Kay Fassett is a designer. He's known for lots of brilliant, beautiful color work, intarsia, Fair Isle work. He's also a quilter, so lots of really bold, beautiful patterns and geometric shapes. So this is Zinnia. This is his orange color, really nice, great pumpkin-y color, whereas Ginger is sort of more of a fall autumnal color, a little bit more of the classic colors. All right. Then we get into not one of the poppy colors from K Facet, but this is a little bit more of a muted color, but it is one of his new colors. It is Peach. Peach has become really popular lately. You can see the flecking in there, really gorgeous. It's not an overpowering peach color, really nice subtle shades. A beautiful muted tone for peach to add a little pop or a little bit of rosiness to your design. All right, next is Cumin. This is one of the more classic yellow colors. Now it's a little bit more toward the yellow, or excuse me, toward the orange or burnt end of the spectrum. Next to that, I am showing you Mineral, which is a little bit more of a yellow tone. So you can see this one is a little bit more rust or more amber colored, whereas the Mineral is a little bit more yellow. Both have great flecking in them. Both have the undertones and flecking of blue and light alabaster and a little bit of black. There's a little bit of variation in each of the skeins for that little flecking. Now, if we compare the Mineral Yellow, which is sort of the standard middle of the road classic yellow color, we introduce you to one of K Facet's new poppy colors. This one is Sulfur. You can see how much more bright and bold Sulfur is. Again, same sort of flecking, so you get the classic Rowan tweed look, but it's punched up with a little bit of that more bold, bright yellow chartreuse sort of color. This is Sulfur. Great Seahawks color, and there's also some really lovely blues that you could pair that with if you're looking for doing something for teen colors. Those would pair really well for doing some support your team for the fall. Come back to the blue, but that is the Sulfur, and then we pair that up with Avocado. We're getting more into greens. This is a really beautiful classic green. You can see it's got a little bit of flecks of amber. There's still some of that blue. This one doesn't have quite as much of the white in it. You'll notice a lot of the felted tweeds have some brighter white undertones in the flecking, and some of them go more with the darker or mid-tones for the flecks that are in there to make it tweedy. So this one has more of the darker colors or mid-tone colors to create the tweed. So this is a really nice, solid, medium-toned green color. So again, that's Avocado. Moving to the next green color, we have Lotus Leaf. This one is another K Facet color, a nice leafy colored green. This one is much more deciduous tree looking. And again, there's some amber flecks in there that you can see, and some whites, and again, a few little flecks of blue. Rowan doesn't shy away from getting the whole spectrum in there. One thing that makes it pair up really nicely with other colors. So this is the K Facet Lotus Leaf color. Compare that with the more classic traditional pine color. This is the more mid-tone green that Rowan has had in the past. And you can see that it's a little bit more of a blue or pine colored. So a little bit more evergreen colored compared to the Lotus Leaf, which is a little bit more bright leafy green color. Then we get into some more subtle tones. Rowan does this really well as well. This is Celadon, a really lovely sort of sagey, minty green color. Again, lots of nice, pretty flecks in there. Next, we come to, this one is a K Facet color. This is Vaseline green. Again, K Facet colors often are gonna punch up the color a little bit, make them look a little bit more modern. And then next to that, we also have another K Facet color. We have, this one was Vaseline green. This one is Electric green. So you can see that there's a little bit more depth of shade to the electric green, whereas the Vaseline green is a little bit more light colored There's a little, there's white flecks in both of those. You can see the under shading of both of those have some really pretty white tweediness. I think the electric green has a little bit more pop to it from the flecks because it's a darker color than the Vaseline green. Okay, then we keep going. The next one is another Cave Facet color. We stock a good selection of these. He has added more than 20 colors to the Rowan Felted Tweed palette. So a good portion of the colors that we have in stock are the Cave Facet color line. This one is turquoise, really strong, beautiful turquoise color. Lots of lovely flecks in there. Still got the amber colors and the classic Rowan blues. You can see a little bit of the marine blue and blacks in there. Really beautiful, bold turquoise color. And I think on the screen that's coming off a little bit more toward the blue side. It's a little bit more green, I think, in person when you look at it in the sunlight. All right, next is bottle green. This one is definitely getting more into the darker colors. This is your, very traditional bottle at sea sort of color. Bottle green is one of my favorites. It is not quite a turquoise, not quite a blue. It has a lovely depth of shade to it. Looks like a deep, dark, stormy sea. Lots of little bits of amber and a little bit of white and black in there. Really pretty deep color. Great body of the sweater color, great dark color if you need a contrast for your color work pattern. All right, next in line is Watery. Get a little bit lighter in the color palette. We're moving more towards the lighter blues. And then we have another Cave Facet color, Delft. So this one is a little bit of lighter color. You can kind of see that we're almost getting a gradient. We get tonality coming in from bottle green to the Watery to the Delft. So you can very easily create gradients and shadings with these. There's lots of lovely tonality. You can get a dark, a medium, and a light tone all together. Really beautiful colors. So again, Fjord by Cave Facet, that's one of the newer colors. I'd say that's sort of in the same tonal family as the peach. There are some of his colors that have this light tone to them and some that have the really kick and the punch. So the kicky punchy colors would be some of these brighter colors. You can see how those are really sort of color crayon, really bright punchy colors. And then we have the lighter muted tones that he's also done. So really, really lovely. I'll keep pulling those out as we come. All right, the next one is Delft, classic Rowan color, really pretty, sort of lightish blue. It's not quite a turquoise. It hovers in the mid-tone between turquoise and blue. And it looks very similar to the next color in the palette, which is Duck Egg. Now, there might be some difference you can see. There's a little bit of darkness here in the Delft, a little bit more lightness in the Duck Egg. They do have some tonality differences. I would say Delft is a little bit greener, Duck Egg is a little bit more baby blue. Give you a close-up look at Duck Egg. It is just beautiful. You can imagine that sitting in a nest in the tree or in the wetlands somewhere. Really, really pretty color. This one doesn't have a lot of white flecks in it. It's mostly camel flecks, a little bit of black. So that's one that's a little bit lighter in the main body of the yarn. So with the tweediness, they're going with a little bit more darker to them. All right, next in line, Duck Egg. After Duck Egg, we have Maritime, very classic blue color. So Maritime and Sea Salter are kind of the two, I would say, standard classic blue colors from Felted Tweed. The Maritime has a lot of nice white flecks in it. It's a really well-balanced blue. And then Sea Salter is sort of your navy blue, so mid-tone blue and your typical navy blue. Really beautiful colors. You can again see the tonality between them, and the palette is beautiful. They pair really well together. Then we punch it up a little bit with a Cave Facet color, and he has brought us Ultramarine. Really beautiful, bright, bright blue. Looks like ultramarine paint that you're squeezing out of your oil paint tube. Beautiful, beautiful, rich, rich blue color. Really does have that royal blue, ultramarine blue color to it. All right, next in line, we're moving toward a little bit more of the purples. This one is a K facet color. We have Iris, really pretty, with light white flecks of felted tweed, felting to it for the tweediness. And then next in line, a little bit lighter, again in tonality, is Scree. Now the Iris is a K facet color. Scree is a typical classic Rowan color. Really pale, almost purple blue to it. I'm going to compare that with the Maritime for you, back to the mid-tone blue. You can see it pairs up very well. It almost looks like a light blue. There is a little bit of a purple tinge to it, but if we hold up Scree and Maritime, there we go. You've got a lovely, beautiful gradient color from one to the other. All right, next, definitely getting into more purples now. Really lovely amethyst color. This one is just beautiful. You can see those amber flecks coming out. Another classic Rowan color is Bilberry, getting a little bit warmer, a little bit more purple. Bilberry is almost a plum or blackberry color to it. We get a little bit more into the pinks. This one is Lotus. Very light color. You can see we're getting a little bit more white into the tweediness there, and also a little bit warmer, a little bit lighter, again with that nice tonality. And this one we can get tonality coming both ways, from the purple side to dark and then back over to pinks again. All right, and if you'd like to continue a gradient, Frozen is a, let's go this way, there we go. Frozen creates a lovely gradient for you, from Bilberry to Frozen on the other end. Really nice, lovely light pink color. There are, again, a little bit of blue flecks in it, so you can easily pair this with the blue as a contrast color. There's dark blue with it. Really lovely pairings that you can do with this in your color work. So either one would make a lovely body, and then a nice color pops for the contrast colors. Getting into brighter pinks, this one is Pink Bliss. This one is another K facet color, so again punching up the colors from your traditional softer palette tones of the Frozen to a more poppy pinky color. And then Barbara, also a K facet color, so you can see there's a different transition. If we go from the bright pink colors, from the subtle lavenders, totally different color palette. You can do the lavender berry colors or pop it up to bright pink and kick it up. Very different feel and tonality to them. This is much more in the bright blue, bluish reds, bluish pinks colors, the cool colors, and lots of beautiful blue tweeds. Again, this one you don't see the white so much, but you see the white felting very nice in the Barbara and the Pink Bliss. All right, moving on to some, again, lovely darker colors, moving from Barbara to Tawny. This is a really lovely wine color. There we go. Tawny has some, again, lovely flecking in it. Not a lot of white, but just a little to give it a little bit of kick and contrast. And then we move to some more of the browns. In moving into the brown colors, we have a nice transition to Barn Red. It's a very nice brown color. Comparing that to Rage, you can see that that's a very nice, warm, sort of milk chocolatey brown color. And then we have Treacle next in the line. Treacle is a very warm, dark chocolate sort of color, or Treacle is also known as molasses here in the States. You can think of a treacle tart from the UK, very reminiscent of that. So very lovely, dark, deep brown color. Out of focus. Let me see if I can get that in focus for you. There you go. Lovely, beautiful, dark chocolate brown color. And then we move into more warm colors. This one is Cinnamon. So we have Cinnamon and then Camel. There are some lovely shading colors for you. Cinnamon is a little bit more yellow. I would say Those are both sort of more neutral brown colors. The cinnamon does get a little bit more into the yellow color. But if we compare cinnamon to, say, cumin, there you get a nice transition, and bringing in mineral to that, there you can see you get some lovely, nice gold colors. You can get a nice, beautiful gradient going that direction. Then continuing with the gradients, after cinnamon, again we had camel, getting into the lighter colors. Next in line is clay. Clay is a very light, neutral color. It is one of the lighter colors from Rowan. In the Felted Tweeds, there isn't a true white. So clay and the next color, alabaster, are sort of the two whites that you can get. These are as light as you can get for really poppy highlight colors. You can see the clay is a little bit more warm, whereas the alabaster is a little bit more blue or cool. It's a little bit more on the white side, I would say. If we move a transition through our grays from alabaster to granite and then carbon, those are our gray neutral colors. And then if we talk about the classic colors, Seafarer from Rowan is as dark a black as it used to be. That used to be as dark a black as you would get. You can see it's got lots of nice, get it in focus for you, lots of nice beautiful flecking in it. Beautiful colors, there's blue, there's amber. It will punch up with just about anything. So that's the traditional classic colors, alabaster to granite to carbon to Seafarer. But then K Facet recently gave us a true black, so you can get even darker. We've got a really nice, lovely, it's just, the color name is black. You can see again, lots of nice tweediness, but a really dark, rich color. So it gives it a little bit of pop. It almost makes Seafarer look a little bit navy on the screen. It's not quite as bluish in person, I would say. That's one of the struggles that we get with video. So you have to come in and see them in person for yourself. But now we have a lovely, nice transition for neutral colors from really lights to really great dark colors. So that is the color palette of all of the solid colors from Rowan. And again, just to give you an idea of the really punchy, pretty colors from Kaffe, we've got these beautiful, bright, let me see if I can get black in there too. There we go. Look at those beautiful, bright colors. You could mix and match almost any of these together to make something really beautiful with a lot of kick and pop. Pick a solid color for your main body, and then you could do some really bright, lovely color work with these beautiful poppy colors. On the other hand, if you wanted to stick with something a little bit more classic, you know, going with the typical blues and a little bit of reds, you could put a little tawny and a little pink in there. And really get a lovely color. We have a Mary Jane Mukelstone pattern that uses the Rowan Felted Tweed, uses Bilberry, Tawny, Frozen, and then there's, I think, a little pop of a blue color in there to give some nice contrast. So really beautiful colors, lots of combinations. Again, it's really hard to go wrong with any of the colors that you might want to pick or try out. All right, sort of saving the best for last, we have the brand new super fun colors to share with you from Rowan. K Facet, as I said, is a very prolific designer, and he has worked on some new colors for Rowan Felted Tweed that have just come out. And normally with Felted Tweed, you are doing the color work. You are choosing the different colors and either alternating colors when you're doing your stripes or in your intarsia or when you're doing your Fair Isle, and you're doing the work of doing the color changing when you're alternating the blues and the pinks or whatever your colors that you're pairing for. With the new colors that K Facet has done, they are called Rowan Felted Tweed Color, and the yarn itself is changing within the ball. So it is a gradient shift from one end of the ball to another. It's not quite the full color spectrum, just once throughout the ball. It does start and stop in different places. So these two are the same color. These are both amethyst. if you looked at them on the shelves and the labels were sitting in just the right spot, you might think that these are two different colors, but these are the different shades of color that you see. If you look into the inside of the ball, you can see the different color changings. If I take the label off there, you can see the gradient that's happening. So it starts off with a nice bright, almost ultramarine blue, not quite to the ultramarine. It's a little bit more subtle than that, but it starts with that nice bold blue and then very slowly transitions into the turquoise. If I pull the ball open a little bit there, you can see where it's starting to shift into the darker turquoise colors that we have on this ball. And maybe if I turn it over that way, there's where the color change is going to happen, from the blues rolling into the turquoises and then down around to almost a green color, yeah, a little bit of green. So there's a little bit of green inside of there. There we go. So kind of a watery color green. Really pretty. So if you are intimidated by weaving in ends, or you want something that's simple and a little bit more mindless, you don't want to have to worry about, you know, picking up and dropping colors all the time, these are great choices for you. They'll also have a lot of fun where it's just going to do the color shifting for you. So you could use it paired up in your Fair Isle work. If you wanted to pair this with a nice solid background color, you could use this as the background, and you can use one of the transition colors, the gradient colors, as your contrast color, and let this yarn do all the heavy lifting and do the color changing for you, and you can just think about the geometric part of the pattern. You can also do striping. I've got some new pattern designs to show you that you can use these for, either on their own or paired up with something else. So this one is Amethyst. This one is one of the more dramatic ones. Next is Magenta. Again, these are the different parts of the stripes of the color. You can see that it starts with a nice rich pink color, and then moves into purples, and then into some of those blue colors. There you can see it on the outside of this skein, the more blue colors that you're getting. I'd say that that is closer probably to sea salter or maritime as we get into the lighter shades, probably closer to the sea salter color in the blues that are on that end, and maybe the tawny, but not quite. So these colors hover in between some of the solid colors. They would pair up very nicely with any of them. Okay, so Magenta. Next we have Frost. This is a much lighter color compared to Magenta. Almost the same blue tones crossing over, so there is a little bit of overlap there. This is the Magenta. We have some of those nice mid-tone blues in Frost, but it travels into much lighter purples and much prettier light pinks, so much more subtle shades there in the Frost color. And that one almost just again looks like probably maritime, a little bit lighter. Very difficult to tell on the shelf, so be sure you're looking at the ball. We'll have these shelved next to the solid colors, not mixed in, so you won't get confused. So again, pink to grays to blues in the Frost. Then we have one that is just sort of tonal. This one is Chartreuse. Chartreuse goes from a very bright, not quite sulfur color. So there's Sulfur to compare to. Again, that looks almost like a gradient. So it starts with a very light color and then moves into avocado. There's avocado into the mid-tone range, and then ends with not quite a leafy green color. So if I bring those other colors in there where that palette shifts from, you can see the Sulfur is almost too light. I know that the mineral yellow starts to look orange when we get compared into there, but those look very nice together. So these are the solid colors on the outside for you to compare where they are in the palette. Again, not quite to leafy green, not quite to avocado. Say avocado ends up somewhere in the mid-tone of that. So in Chartreuse, again, we have the lovely tonality. It's a little bit more subtle, the color gradient and changing that you're getting in that one ball. But adds a whole new color choice for you. So those are the gradient colors. Again, they are called Rowan Felted Tweed Color. Those are Cape Facet colors. There are 8 colors total. We have brought in 4 to start. If you guys like them, let us know, and if they start picking up and you like to using them in your color work projects, we'll definitely bring in the other colors. And now for some new pattern ideas for you. A new book from Rowan for the color collection with the gradient yarns is the Rowan Color Felted Tweed publication. This one is focusing solely on the color changing yarns. So this will give you some ideas about patterns and things that you can do with those color changing yarns. It's a collection of several of the different Rowan designers. Here is a lovely easy scallop cowl design from Lisa Richardson. Very easy to knit, lovely cowl, not difficult, easy enough for a beginner. But you get a little bit more satisfaction with lots of different pretty color changes using that gradient yarn. Another simple design that lets the yarn show off is another one by Lisa Richardson. There is this really pretty, easy gradient shifting garter stitch scarf. There you go. Get some focus for you. You can really see the differences and how the color changing happens with the yarn as you go up. Simple, basic design, but a sophisticated looking scarf. If you want to do something more intense, but a little bit easier in terms of color work, this is using just 2 of the color changing yarns. One as the background color or main color, and the other one as the contrast color. You're doing a really simple little pattern repeat here, and then letting the yarn do the heavy lifting. Makes it look like you're using a ton of different colors, but it's really only 2 yarns, and you're never changing. You're always holding one as the background color and the other one as the contrast color, and knitting away in that really simple little chart. It's not a difficult little repeat. Just to give you a little preview, it's a simple little 20 stitch repeat that you repeat over and over again. Works up really nice, knit in the round. Lovely, lovely scarf for you in the Rowan Felted Tweed colors. Something a little bit more traditional, there's a new book by Lisa Richardson that focuses just on the Rowan Felted Tweed. There's some really traditional looking patterns, but taking advantage of the bright popping colors for a modern look. A traditional Fair Isle design with only 2 colors in one row at a time, but using lots of those colors throughout the design and making a really bright, beautiful, bold statement with a lot of those bright colors. There's a lovely cardigan, also in the traditional Fair Isle technique, but using some of the more muted tones, so a really pretty cardigan. One with some just beautiful solid color for the background, and then changing with some blocks or diamond shapes. Very pretty design. And then there are some more simple shapes. So Rowan Felted Tweed really has a really nice drape. The viscose and bamboo in it make it a really lovely soft DK weight yarn. It is fabulous for garments just on their own. So there's a lovely little cardigan, simple design with a classic look. There is a lovely lace scarf from Lisa Richardson. Beautiful, beautiful, simple design. Or have just a little bit of fun and do something with color blocking. A solid color on the top, solid color on the bottom, and then a contrast color pocket. Color blocking is still really popular. You can make something that looks eye-catching and modern, but with simple color changes. So those are from Lisa Richardson. That book is brand new. All of the designs in this book use the Rowan Felted Tweed. Several more designs in there. That was just a highlight. And then the last publication that we have is the new Rowan magazine, number 70. This is the new season's Rowan magazine. It features patterns for the entire collection of Rowan yarns, not just the felted tweed, but there are some features in here that I'll highlight for you that use some of those. The cover cowl here is a lovely Fair Isle cowl, uses the Rowan Felted Tweed, uses a solid background color and then color changing for the contrast colors to make a really pretty color work scarf. You could definitely pop in one of those color changing yarns instead as your contrast color and use that to create a really lovely shading. So feel free to mix and match and create your own. something a little bit more classic design. Rowan is always great at having really lovely, beautiful classic designs. Here is a modern update to the Argyle Sweater, a lovely large color block Argyle pattern for a little intarsia. You got that nice, beautiful Argyle diamond shape with the line detail. Very reminiscent to me of one of the Friends that was featured as one of Rachel's sweaters on Friends. She had a really nice, beautiful Argyle pattern, very reminiscent of that beautiful classic pattern. Another fun one, one thing that Rowan does really well is designs for the home, and they have some fun intarsia color pillows. So there's some really fun designs in there. These are all by Martin Story using a DK worsted weight superwash yarn. Here are some really fun patterns. Look at how much fun and bold those are. Kitty cats and eyelashes, lips and flowers, some really pretty geometric shapes. Those are super fun. We have some great yarns that you could use to make those. And then last but not least, one fun thing to do, also made popular by Arnie and Carlos, is pairing the Kid Silk Haze with different yarns. So you could definitely easily pair up the Kid Silk Haze, which is a mohair and silk blend, very soft next to the skin, softness to it, but gives it a little bit of halo and fuzziness to it. Lots of colors that match up very well with the Rowan Felted Tweed to give a little bit of fuzziness and extra softness and extra plumpness. So holding the Kid Silk Haze with the Rowan stranded together while you're knitting can bulk it up a little bit, and you can knit with bigger needles. Makes for a really lovely soft fabric. So with the Kid Silk Haze, they are also some new fun color patterns with Kid Silk Haze featured in the Rowan magazine. There are also some fun designs using just Kid Silk Haze all on its own. So these patterns are using Kid Silk Haze all on its own. Some lovely lace shawls, some ethereal little scarves, and some really pretty color changing shrugs and cowls, a simple little lacy cowl. So some really pretty stuff, some color block changing, pom-poms on the bottom, stripes, really beautiful, lovely colors. We have restocked, of course, our Kid Silk Haze as well. There are lovely bright colors to go along with the Cape Facet colors if you want to pair those up. So we have bright colors in the Kid Silk Haze. If you want to do gradients, there's lovely colors in blues and warm rosy colors, and some really lovely, beautiful neutral colors, grays, if you'd like to do a gradient in grays, or some really traditional, classic, beautiful colors. Look at that palette, a nice taupey colors from pearl to mid-tones of light grays and taupes to a lovely chocolate brown. Really pretty colors available in the Kid Silk Haze. One of our favorite things to do is with the Babel hat, the sheepy hat that is the Fair Isle hat with the sheeps around the sides, Shetland Wool Week's official pattern from 2015. We do lots of fun kits with the felted tweed, where you have the grass on the bottom and the blue on the top, and then we do our sheepy colors. And for the sheepy colors, we use alabaster and a little Kid Silk Haze help double, so you get a really fuzzy little sheep in the middle. So we are restocking those kits as well, enough to make one hat on its own, or play with the Kid Silk Haze and the felted tweed together. Arnie and Carlos's has some lovely patterns that pair up both of these yarns together, so that's a really fun thing to explore. So come in and see our lovely new stocked colors that we have, and find something yummy to knit for the fall. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.